Welcome back to Women of Worth, the podcast where we explore life's challenges, build resilience, and discover meaningful ways to thrive. Today, we're tackling a topic that so many women experience, but don't always talk about: loneliness. Whether you're new to a city, balancing a busy career, or simply finding it hard to connect, loneliness can be incredibly tough. But here's the good news: you're not alone in this, and there are ways to build real, meaningful connections. In today's episode, we'll dive into real-life stories from women like Daisy, Amy, Pauline, and Jackie, each facing different forms of loneliness. We'll share practical solutions and tips to help you connect with others in a way that feels authentic and fulfilling. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and tap the notification bell so you never miss an episode. And we'd love to hear from you. Comment below with any ideas for future topics you'd like us to cover. Your suggestions help us make each episode meaningful and relevant, so let's keep this conversation going. Now, let's get into it. Here's how you can overcome loneliness and start building the connections that bring joy and purpose to your life.
Ever feel like you're surrounded by people but still alone?
Yeah.
It's more common than you think, especially for women.
Absolutely.
Today, we're diving deep into loneliness.
It's something that affects so many women.
But we're not just going to talk about the problem.
Right.
We're going to find solutions.
Exactly.
Real solutions that have helped real women build genuine connections.
It's about finding those deeper connections we all crave.
So let's start with something I think a lot of us have faced: moving to a new place.
Yeah.
Remember Daisy, new city, amazing job. But she had to leave her whole support system behind.
It's tough, starting over in a new place.
So how did she break out of that isolation?
Well, she had to find her people.
Okay.
Find her tribe, so to speak.
I like that.
By tapping into her passions. Trying a local hiking group and an art class. Instant connections with people who get her,
love that.
Shared passion.
It's so simple, but it's so powerful. But let's face it, sometimes loneliness creeps in, even when we're not in a brand new place.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, what about when you're just swamped with work?
Right. Think about Amy.
Oh, Amy, yeah.
Killing it in her career.
Super successful.
Marketing executive.
But her social life was
so much.
It's like classic work taking over, just always on.
Putting in the hours, hitting those goals.
But then Sunday night rolls around.
And the loneliness hits.
Ugh. Yeah, I've been there.
It's a common pattern.
Especially for women.
Juggling so many roles and expectations.
So how did Amy reclaim her social life without, quitting her job?
Well, boundaries were key.
Okay.
She started protecting her personal time.
How?
Which is easier said than done, I know.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you have to make time for yourself.
Yeah.
It's crucial for creating space for those social connections.
So she had to draw a line in the sand.
Right.
Work stays here, fun starts now.
Exactly.
I love that she joined a book club.
Oh, yeah.
Just like
Structured social interaction.
built-in conversation starters.
It's brilliant.
It is.
Speaking of life changes, sometimes they throw curveballs you just don't see coming.
Totally.
Pauline's story is a prime
You
example.
tell me about Pauline.
Divorce.
Oh, wow.
It completely upended her social circle.
That's tough.
Imagine all your friends are coupled up,
Right.
and you're suddenly navigating this whole new chapter solo.
It's like everyone else is on this steady path and you're suddenly off-roading,
Exactly.
trying to find your way back.
It can be incredibly isolating.
So what does she do?
Well, she was proactive.
Okay.
She found a support group specifically for women going through divorce.
So she could connect with people who got it.
Right. A safe space to connect with others who truly understood what she was experiencing.
Sometimes you just need that validation,
You do.
that sense of, I'm not alone in this.
Absolutely.
And then you can start to feel connected again.
Exactly. And Pauline didn't stop there.
Oh, really? What else did she do?
She took up yoga,
Oh, nice.
which not only helped her physically and mentally,
Sure.
but also opened up a whole new social circle.
You see, trying new things,
Yeah.
it can lead to unexpected connections.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not just external circumstances that hold us. Sometimes it's internal stuff.
Yeah. Jackie's story sheds light on that.
Oh, Jackie again.
How social anxiety can be a major barrier to forming those bonds,
Even when you want them.
even when you desperately want them.
Yeah, it's like you're afraid of being judged.
Mm.
You're nervous around new people.
The fear can be paralyzing.
It's like an invisible wall
Yeah.
between you and everyone else. So how did Jackie start breaking down those walls?
It was a combination of things.
Okay.
For some professional help is key to managing social anxiety.
Yeah, therapy can be really helpful.
But for Jackie, starting small was crucial.
Oh, interesting.
Instead of diving into large gatherings,
Right.
she focused on smaller interactions.
Chatting with a neighbor, attending a low-key workshop.
Baby steps.
Baby steps, exactly.
And you mentioned mindfulness before.
Right.
How did that play into Jackie's journey?
Well, think of mindfulness as training your mind to be present, to quiet those anxious thoughts.
I like that.
Techniques like meditation can help manage those physical symptoms of anxiety.
So it makes social situations less overwhelming.
Exactly.
So it's about building up that inner resilience to face those social situations.
Absolutely.
I think I'm starting to see a pattern here.
Oh, yeah.
Baby steps, finding your tribe, building that inner strength.
Exactly.
Okay, so now I think it's time to zoom out a little.
Okay.
What are some broader strategies that anyone can use to combat loneliness?
Regardless of the cause.
Because, whether you're dealing with a major life change or just feeling a bit disconnected, there are things we can all do to foster those meaningful connections.
And the beauty is these strategies are adaptable.
You can tailor them to your own personality and situation.
I love that.
But before we dive in, there's a crucial first step.
I'm all ears.
What are you actually looking for in a connection?
Oh, that's a good question.
What kind of relationships truly nourish you?
Yeah.
What are your needs and motivations?
So it's like being really intentional,
Yes,
defining connection on your own terms.
exactly.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Let's dive into those strategies.
Let's do it. So yeah, it all starts with knowing yourself and what kind of connections you're looking for.
Right.
But building connections is an ongoing process,
Yeah, it's not like you just do it once and then you're done.
Exactly.
Like a garden.
Oh, I like that.
You have to tend to it. Give it attention and care.
Keep those weeds out.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of gardens, though,
Yeah.
one thing that really stood out to me about Daisy and Pauline's stories was how simple activities became these unexpected catalysts for connection.
Right. Like a painting class or a yoga studio. Everyday places that can turn into these like connection hubs.
Exactly.
And it makes you realize that the opportunities are all around us if we just look for them.
They are.
It doesn't be some big orchestrated event.
Right.
It can be as simple as like chatting with the person behind you in line at the grocery store or like lending a hand to a neighbor.
Exactly. Those little moments of human interaction can spark something special.
And that reminds me of something we talked about earlier.
What's that?
Active listening.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just a skill,
Right.
It's like a relationship superpower.
Absolutely.
Think about it. How often are we actually present in conversations, really listening?
Not as often as we should be.
No, it's so easy to get distracted.
Yeah. Planning our response or checking our phones.
Oh, yeah. Totally guilty of that.
But when you really make that effort to listen, not just to the words, but to the emotions behind them, that's where real understanding starts.
It's like you're not just hearing what they're saying, you're feeling it too.
Exactly. And that's where empathy comes in.
Okay.
It's about seeing the world through their lens.
Stepping into their shoes.
Yeah. And validating their feelings without judgment.
Like you're saying, I see you, I hear you, and your experiences matter.
And that kind of validation, it's powerful.
It is.
Not just in our personal lives, but at work, with acquaintances, even with strangers.
Yeah, it's true.
But one thing that can really trip us up?
What's that?
Is the fear of rejection.
Oh, yes.
It can be so paralyzing.
It holds us back from putting ourselves out there.
It does.
So how do we face that fear?
Well, first you have to acknowledge it.
Okay.
It's a universal fear. Everyone experiences rejection at some point.
Yeah, that's true.
It's part of being human.
But how do we not let it define us?
I think one way is to shift your perspective.
Okay.
Instead of dwelling on the potential for rejection, focus on the potential for connection.
So it's like reframing it.
Yeah.
From what if they don't like me to what if we click?
Exactly.
And sometimes it helps to remember that the other person might be just as nervous as you are.
They might be.
Right.
We often project our own insecurities onto others.
Yeah. Assuming they're judging us when they might just be nervous too.
Exactly.
And this brings us back to self-compassion.
Oh, absolutely.
We can be so hard on ourselves.
We had.
But we need to treat ourselves with kindness.
Like we would a friend.
Yeah.
Building connections takes time and effort.
It does.
And it's not always going to be easy.
No, there are going to be bumps in the road.
There will be.
But it's so worth it.
It is.
Those connections, those relationships, they enrich our lives in so many ways.
Do they give us support during tough times?
Yes.
Shared laughter challenges that help us grow.
And they remind us that we're not alone.
Exactly.
Speaking of navigating those ups and downs, what helps you?
Well, it might sound cliche,
Okay.
but gratitude. And,
Okay.
there's actually a psychological theory called the broaden and build theory.
Okay.
And it suggests that when we experience these positive emotions, like gratitude, it actually broadens our thinking. It builds our resources.
Interesting.
So it's like gratitude expands your capacity for joy.
Like you're saying, I see the value you bring to my life.
Yes.
And I appreciate you.
Exactly.
But sometimes nurturing those relationships, it means having tough conversations.
It does.
Setting boundaries, or even letting go of connections that no longer serve us.
Sometimes that's necessary.
I know it's hard.
It can be.
Yeah.
But healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, trust, and honest communication.
That's true.
And sometimes letting go, even if it's painful, creates space for new, more fulfilling connections.
It's like clearing out the clutter to make room for something new and beautiful. Absolutely.
So speaking of stepping outside your comfort zone, how have you done that to build connections?
Well, one thing I've been trying is being more intentional about talking to people I don't know well.
Okay.
Like a colleague I haven't really talked to much.
Right.
Or someone I see at the gym.
It's so easy to stick to our usual circles.
It is.
But when you push yourself to engage with new people, it opens up a whole world of possibilities.
It does. You never know that casual chat could turn into a great friendship.
Or a valuable professional connection.
Exactly.
You have to be in it to win it.
You do.
Now, we've talked a lot about face-to-face interaction.
Yeah.
But in today's digital world, online communities can also play a role in fighting loneliness.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially if you're geographically isolated.
Or have niche interests.
Yeah, it's like having access to this global network of potential friends and mentors.
And collaborators.
Right at your fingertips.
It's amazing.
It is, but it's important to use these platforms wisely.
Because it's easy to get caught up in the comparison game.
Yeah.
Or feel overwhelmed by all the information.
So be selective about what you follow and the groups you join.
And how much time you spend online.
Absolutely.
It's about creating a positive, supportive online experience.
Right.
That aligns with your values.
And remembering that online connections should complement, not replace real life ones.
Exactly, because there's no substitute for that face-to-face interaction.
There isn't.
That shared experience of being in the same space, connecting on a human level.
Exactly.
So it's about finding that balance between the digital and the physical, the virtual and the real.
Absolutely.
You know, as we continue exploring this topic,
I
want to talk about something that I think often gets overlooked.
Okay.
The importance of solitude, being alone.
The often misunderstood and undervalued art of being alone.
It's true. Our culture glorifies busyness and constant connection.
It does.
But solitude is essential for our well-being.
It allows us to recharge,
reflect, and connect with our inner selves.
It's a time for introspection.
Yes.
Creativity, self-discovery.
It's like hitting the reset button.
I like that.
Giving ourselves the space and quiet to process our thoughts and emotions.
And when we embrace solitude, we come out feeling more grounded, more centered, more connected to ourselves.
Absolutely.
And that inner connection is the foundation for building healthy, fulfilling relationships with others.
You can't pour from an empty cup.
That's so true.
Prioritizing our own well-being allows us to show up better for others.
So if you're feeling overwhelmed by the need to connect, give yourself permission to unplug, disconnect.
Yeah.
Spend some quality time alone.
It might feel uncomfortable at first.
Yeah, especially if you're used to being constantly surrounded by people.
Or plugged into technology.
But with practice,
you
might find that solitude becomes a source of strength.
It can be.
Creativity, renewal.
And sometimes the most profound connections we make are the ones with ourselves.
Now, as we approach the final part of our deep dive, I want to touch on something we haven't really discussed yet.
Okay, what's that?
Vulnerability.
Vulnerability.
It's the key to unlocking authentic connection.
Tell me more.
It's about letting our guard down, sharing our true selves, allowing others to see us flaws, and it can be terrifying, but also incredibly liberating.
Okay, I see that.
When we're vulnerable, we create space for genuine intimacy.
Okay.
We're saying to the other person, I trust you enough to let you see me.
Wow.
Even the parts I'm not always proud of,
That's a powerful thing.
It is that level of trust and authenticity.
Yeah.
It's the foundation for truly deep, lasting relationships.
It's true, but vulnerability doesn't mean oversharing or burdening others with our problems.
No. It's about choosing to share our thoughts and feelings with people we trust.
The people who have earned the right to see that side of us.
Exactly. It's about being discerning and selective.
Mm-hmm.
And remember, vulnerability is a two-way street.
Right? It's about creating a safe space.
Yes.
For others to be vulnerable with us.
And that's where active listening and empathy come in again.
Absolutely. Because when we listen with our hearts without judgment, we create an environment where vulnerability can flourish.
And that's where the magic happens.
Yes.
That's where true connection is born.
I love that. So as we head into the final part of our deep dive, I want to leave you with a question to ponder.
Ooh, I love a good question.
Think about a time when someone was truly vulnerable with you. How did it make you feel? Did it strengthen your bond? What can you learn from that experience and apply to your own relationships?
Yeah, it really makes you think about what it means to connect on a deeper level.
It does. And, you know, as we wrap up our deep dive into loneliness and connection, I'm curious what's resonated most with you, listener.
Yeah. What are your biggest takeaways?
What's got you thinking?
It's been quite a journey exploring all these different facets of connection. And for me, one of the biggest takeaways is that we have so much power to shape our own social landscape.
Yes. It's so easy to feel like loneliness just happens to us.
Like it's out of our control.
Exactly. But we're not helpless.
We're not.
We can choose to reach out, nurture those existing bonds, step outside our comfort zones.
It all starts with that shift in mindset, feeling powerless to feeling empowered.
I love that. And that reminds me of something we haven't talked about yet.
Okay, what's that?
Expectations.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes I think we set ourselves up for disappointment with these unrealistic expectations of what friendship should be like.
Right, or how often we should be socializing.
Yeah, we're bombarded with images of perfect friendships on social media.
All the time.
And it makes our own lives feel inadequate.
It's like we're comparing our messy real-life relationships to these curated highlight reels.
Exactly. And no wonder we feel like we're falling short.
So what can we do about it?
Well, I think self-compassion is key. It's about recognizing that there's no one right way to do friendship.
Right. What works for one person might not work for another.
And that's okay.
It is.
We need to give ourselves permission to define connection on our own terms.
Some people love being in large social circles.
Yeah.
Others prefer a few close friends.
And both are totally fine.
Absolutely.
It's also important to remember that friendships change over time.
They do.
What worked for you in your 20s might not work in your 40s.
And that's okay too.
Life is about change and growth, and our relationships are no exception.
So if you're feeling disconnected in your current social circle, don't be afraid to reassess, shift priorities,
explore new avenues for connection.
And sometimes that means letting go of relationships that no longer serve us.
I know, that can be tough.
It can, but remember you deserve to be surrounded by people who uplift you.
Yes.
Who support your growth and make you feel good about yourself.
It's like clearing out the clutter to make room for something beautiful and new. Before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to highlight one last strategy that's been a game changer for me.
I'm listening.
The power of giving back.
Yes. Volunteering, contributing to something larger than ourselves.
It's amazing how focusing on others can actually help us feel more connected. Shift our attention outwards.
Yeah.
We find a sense of purpose and belonging.
And volunteering doesn't have to be this huge time commitment.
Right.
Even small acts of kindness can make a difference.
Like helping an elderly neighbor or donating to a charity.
Find a cause that resonates with you.
Yeah, something you're passionate about.
And take action.
And the beautiful thing is volunteering often brings you into contact with like-minded people.
It does.
It's a fantastic way to meet new friends.
While making a positive impact.
It's a win-win.
It is. And as we come to the end of our deep dive, I want to leave you with one final thought.
Give us that nugget of wisdom.
You are worthy of connection. You are capable of building meaningful relationships.
Yes.
And you have the power to create a life filled with love, support, and belonging.
I love that.
Don't be afraid to reach out, to be vulnerable, to take a chance on connection.
You never know where it might lead.
You really don't.
Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey into the world of loneliness and connection.
We hope you enjoyed it.
We hope you've learned some valuable insights, some actionable strategies.
And most importantly,
a renewed sense of hope and possibility when it comes to building those meaningful connections in your own life.
Remember, you are not alone on this journey.
We're all in this together.
And we'd love to keep the conversation going.
And if this episode resonated with you, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel. So share your thoughts, your experiences, your ideas for future episodes in the comments below.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
We hope you found it helpful. And remember, keep shining bright, you awesome humans, you.